Amit. Welcome to Autocar Professional. Thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on the Series C funding round. It's a significant milestone for Yulu. And you know what's particularly interesting is how much the business has evolved since your last fundraise, how you've turned from a shared mobility play into a full-fledged urban mobility ecosystem. But before we get into the numbers, I would really like you to reflect at this moment. What does this moment mean for you, Lou? What does this fundraise mean personally for you and the company going forward?
Thank you, Prerna, for talking to us. Yeah, it's a big day for us. At the same time, we think the opportunity in front of us is immense. And that's what is reflecting into the quantum of money we have been able to raise. And we believe there are so many tailwinds happening in the market with respect to our business model, where a lot of urbanization, quick commerce, everyone wants everything in 15 minutes. Quick services are being launched. And not only that, on the people mobility, the movement of people front also, we see significant shift in government thinking, where they are actually mandating the platform to go electric with a specified specification that it has to have a GPS, it has to have this and that. We are probably the most relevant company where this whole electrification path, which was just, I would say, important, but after the crisis in the Middle East, it has become urgent. And this capital has come at a stage where market is just out there. And the good part is Yulu also has its own infrastructure, team, product, technology. And the capital was the only thing which was missing in this equation. With this capital coming in, we are actually set to take off this number in a very meaningful manner.
Right. And you have a target of 2 lakh fleet in next 2 years, and that's what this fundraise will power a part of it. That's what I'm assuming. But then what is driving that growth? You've spoken of quick commerce. What other growth drivers do you see for, 4 times growth than what you have today?
Sure. So just a reminder, Prerna, you know that our existing product is all low speed with a single seat.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was catering to those very micro movement kind of business models. So quick commerce being one of the large ones. But at the same time, if you look at the road, there's so many other movements happening. And we have been like, okay, how can we electrify that? So we see e-commerce, for example, someone carrying 20, 30 packets for quick for e-commerce. We see porter-like services. We see even bike taxi. All of that actually requires electrification to happen. And when we look at our growth plan, it is two layers. There's a layer of geographical expansion. So we are so many places within the existing cities where Yulu is not present. So we'll go open up our service centers, our places, customer touch point, battery swapping stations via Yuma. So we'll grow there, we'll go new cities. And then on the product usage perspective, the express product, which has two seats, far bigger payload, and we will go and add to that in the existing mix. So if you look at things from a top-down perspective, India is estimated to have almost 10 million gig workers, and
Right.
most of it has to be electrified. A good portion of these gig workers actually require access to mobility. So we believe that with more and more people becoming gig workers for some urban work, they need someone like us. So we have a very large headroom from a business model perspective, and hence this 200K, if you look at things from any lens, is a very small number. I think our business model has actually a lot of depth and scale possibility.
Right. You also have a battery swapping network which is growing simultaneously. If this kind of growth is something that you're looking at, what is the kind of battery swapping network enhancements that you would want to, that we could expect? Because this would obviously need battery swapping to keep up with it, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So not only the bikes, which we have to keep on adding, we also have to add batteries, the touch points for the customers. So when we look at this whole journey of expansion, battery swapping is also an integral part of that. Just to remind you, the battery swapping part, execution-wise, is not done by Yulu, but it is
Yeah.
done via a JV called Yuma, what we
Yeah.
have done some time back with Magna. So there's a dedicated execution team, its own MD, own product team. So they basically also have been tagging along. So Yulu is one of their important customers, the largest customer, but they also now cater to some other use cases like e-rickshaw in North and bunch of other things. So both companies, strategy-wise, we are tied to the hip. We are growing, they're also growing, and that's how the infrastructure is being built.
But what is the kind of volume growth for battery swapping network that this kind of EV 2 lakh plus that you're sort of looking at? What is the kind of volume that we would want?
Sure. So if you look at the moment, uh, we are so every bike actually requires 1.5 battery swaps. So
Hmm.
if I talk about that terminology, so for every 100,000 bikes, we're talking about 150,000 swaps per day.
Yeah.
But now we are also adding a bigger vehicle which will be far more power hungry. We
Yeah.
see they will be adding the same level of number of swaps per day. So for 200K, very easily, Yuma will be doing upward of 350, 400K swaps per day.
Okay.
Uh, and we are not the only company they cater to. So they are also horizontal. So
Hmm.
they have their own e-rickshaw business, which is also growing. So you can imagine, when we hit 200, Yuma should be doing 5 to 600K swaps per day. So that's the level of growth we foresee our JV partner will have.
Right. Right. And what is the valuation after this round?
So Prerna, we actually have never disclosed valuation even in previous round and this round also.
Okay.
We believe that private market valuation, they're better off not being celebrated and not being talked. We'll talk
Sure.
about the public valuation, public market valuation when the right time comes.
Sure, but obviously, you have spoken about your path to profitability, PAT profitability, and IPO as well. So, what are some of the key metrics that will sort of help you be prepared for an IPO? And it's coming in a few years, I'm assuming.
Sure. So very good question. And I think IPO date is more like an outcome, but the
Mm.
input matrix, the fundamental question you have asked, is the right
Exactly.
question to ask. So we have been EBITDA profitable starting April 2025, and but for us, because we have a asset which is also depreciating with time, so the right matrix or right milestone for us to celebrate is the PAT positive. And this is a
Yeah.
stage where not only the operational expenses, but also the amortized cost of the capex is also being taken care. And we believe sometime next year, we will be in a stage where we will be PAT positive. Now, that is a important non-negotiable milestone. But now, if from a company's aspiration perspective, we want to be listed on a main board where you need to be friends with or you need to be attractive for these large institutional mutual funds, then we believe that we should be hitting somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500 crores in terms of revenue. And the moment we are in that sweet spot and good positive metrics, we will be worthy of being listed in the on the main board. Another interesting point to notice here is the kind of capital and the investors who have come in this round. They also come from a similar mindset. They're not the fund who will experiment with you and your business model. So they
Right.
see things are in place. So they bring in this growth capital to take you to the public market. So, in a sense, this funding from GEF Capital is also an endorsement that we have a right foundation in place, and with this capital, we'll be able to execute our numbers. Then, at least we will be a public market ready company. Whether to list or not, and when is a timing thing, which the board will decide, and we'll collectively decide. But yeah, I do see company going public, creating a lot of value for everyone.
Right, very interesting. When you were talking about public markets, what are some of the learnings from recent startups that have listed in the public markets? Because we've seen a lot of discrepancies, a lot of downfall after the listing happened. So I'm sure when you're going at this point of time, there are a lot of learnings and a lot of benefits from the hindsight that you can sort of learn from. So, what are, if you could share some of these learnings as an entrepreneur, that would be very interesting.
Certainly. So there's a part which I feel sometimes sad. but at the same time, that becomes our biggest strength. So we were never a company who was built on hype. We were never a crypto company or something token or some crazy thing where
Yeah.
people were just giving insane amount of valuation. We were building very fundamental business and service. So we were always measured on what we have done with that lens. And what that has done to us, that every dollar of value creation for us is hard earned. It's not on the hype, but on the metrics.
Right.
And we believe that the big lesson for us is, or for everyone, any entrepreneur, that when you start chasing vanity metrics, then those vanity metrics are only there for a certain period. The hype is gone, the valuation is also gone. In our case, we never had that problem. So for us, when we talk about value creation, it's happening because the type of margin we are able to create, the type of moats we have created for long term, and will be measured against them, not because we have this cool, sexy technology which is word changing and things like that. So we don't have those things for us. So it will be far more number and value creation driven, which we all basically work in that manner. So we are 9 years old company, and till date we're not taking a shortcut. We have been very fundamentally building the stack. Like even for bike, for example, we went to Bajaj, one of the best ones. For battery tech and infrastructure, we went to Magna. So for us, our service is someone's livelihood, and for that to happen, you need to build that reliability and trust. I want to take this name, which is my favorite. When you talk about trust and reliability, I think the word Tatas came into picture.
Yeah.
And when we talk about, how do we see our company going forward, we believe that we need to create that goodness. Because if someone is taking Yulu, it is for their livelihood, and we have to be absolutely, absolutely trustworthy, reliable service. And
Right.
building that is not easy. You need to get every component right.
Right. Is that also going to be a future moat, like you said, because the market is getting very crowded. There are a lot of, like you said, quick commerce players. Some of them are developing their own fleet. A lot of them are also looking at your model. So how going forward, what will be the moat? What will be the competitive differentiation? Is that a challenge that you sort of grapple with?
Certainly. So this is not, only one thing. It's a sequence of Lego blocks. So to start with, our vehicle, which has been maturing over last almost 8 years, and that is non-trivial. I think the reliability of a vehicle is not really well understood, but I'm sure that when someone says that, give me a reliable car, without thinking, you'll say, oh, Toyota Innova is one of the most reliable car. In the scooter, Honda Activa had that goodness. So, it is not happening overnight, and that's the reason some of the companies are still struggling with their product quality. They have been around for long, but so what we have done in our case, we have been closely working with Bajaj, where at the component level we know the component level we know the issues, and we have gone through three platform changes in our journey. Third one being Bajaj. Even there, we have done six different iteration. So overall, the vehicle changes what we have done is more than 100, and every component we know fails here, it should be enhanced. And everything in our case, because every bike is smart and connected, everything was digitally documented. So we know the pain point, we know which city having which issue.
Right.
This learning cannot be bought. We have learned the hard way. So we have a product which only time can buy, money cannot buy. So which is a big moat. And followed by that, the data what we generate every 100 millisecond, we have 200 data points per bike. So all of that data gets compounded, and the compounding effect of any high quality data. So that is
Right.
another moat. Surface infrastructure is very, very difficult. So for you to create a service station which is compliant with all legal thing, for you to create a battery swapping station, right amount of approval, power, etc., is not easy. So we have built all of that, and the last and not the least, and the most important is the trust.
Hmm.
Because for someone to trust you, you have to really walk the talk, and just someone coming because you're giving something cheaper, when it comes to livelihood, that does not work. So imagine yourself, if I come to you and say, hey, your mobile you're using, let's say an Airtel or whatever is your choice of network. I am a new guy, I'll give it half. You will say, no, Baba, I'm not having network in my home. It works in my office. So you say, no, I don't want your cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to business, same thing, AWS, right? So they have made a very reliable machine. So if someone comes fly by night operator, when it comes to livelihood or someone business, they don't want to take chance. So
Hmm.
we want to basically, and this is by the way of moat. Doing all of that was not easy. Convincing Mr. Rajiv Bajaj to give his R&D bandwidth to Yulu was not easy. Getting Magna to do this, what they have done. So globally, there's no company in the world who has done what Yulu has done. So it
Right.
is very interesting when you think about the layers. Yeah, those are our modes, by the way. And players who are out there, I think, yeah, they also have a business model. I'll not trivialize them, but their ability to scale the business beyond a number will be a question mark. Because when you run 100 or 1,000 vehicle units, yeah, you can manage things with keys
Yeah.
and spanners. But when it goes in hundreds of thousand, a, a good technology play can solve that.
Right.
So that's what we
Yeah.
have been building.
Doing it at scale is what I mean is the proof of in the
Yeah,
pudding.
correct.
Also,
And
how,
doing
how
it
many?
profitably. And doing it
Yeah.
profitably.
100%, 100%. But then how do you define yourself? You started as a last mile mobility player and then urban logistics. You're building a whole ecosystem with charging networks. So how do you define yourself going forward? Because that positioning is going to matter as you go for public markets.
Very true. So I'm yet to refine the positioning and help me if you can. But we see ourselves as an urban mobility and livelihood infrastructure company.
Hmm.
So that's the role we play. We are providing mobility service, which is not just a scooter, but the entire. So people who really needed it, their livelihood. And if I can use another abstraction, I use this word called AWS for mobility,
Hmm.
where just like AWS, who has got server, data center, optical network, cables, and all, we have built all of this by stacking the bike technology, data, and apps and network of and all. Everything comes together and becomes the mobility service.
Right.
So we want to be that one-stop, reliable, trusted company, which is helping India moves its people on goods or services. So when you see the city, so many people throughout the day, they are moving. And from our perspective, how can we make that movement sustainable? How can we unify that
Yeah.
particular movement? And we want to do that with our product or services. So that is the kind of a vision we are working towards.
Very well put. I was just curious to know, out of the $93 million, I think 30 is in debt. So at this point, since you said that you're EBITDA positive, you've been EBITDA positive since April 25. So what was the necessity and logic behind getting debt at this point, at this stage?
Certainly. So what was happening, Prerna, in the past, because of a business model was still being proven, so
Hmm.
people did not know how many months this scooter will last, how many kilometers it will be running. So in
Right.
absence of that, our ability to raise large scale debt was very limited.
Hmm.
Equity capital was the only way for us. So we were keep on raising money, buying the bike, but imagine if we only use equity capital, there will be nothing left for the founders and nothing left for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
So for us, for business model to work, we ought to be switching to what we call debt capital, which is non-dilutive. So we need a non-dilutive capital at scale. So
Okay.
first milestone was being EBITDA profitable, where we were able to raise close to $10 million in debt capital, but we were still primarily using equity. But now with maturity and the margin expansion, what we have seen, we think that we can blend equity and debt even more. So out of the $63 million what we have raised, some portion of this equity capital will be used to buy capex till the time we hit the PAT positive. So both
Hmm.
equity and debt. So from 100% equity, we will be equity and debt. And after we hitting PAT positive, there will be 100% capex being bought on debt. So
Got
this
it.
is the transition we have to go through,
Hmm.
and we think this is sufficient money. We don't need this much of money, by the way, in this transition. A lot of money will be kept in the balance sheet for the support to raise a lot of debt. So it will be a balance sheet support, cushion to our financial engine. So that is the plan.
And the focus this year, will it be in deepening existing markets or going into identifying newer markets and getting deeper into like pan-India expansion, as we call it?
Yeah. So yeah, Pan India is a good milestone. I don't think so we can do that quickly. If I talk about our plan for next 12 months, we are currently present in 12 cities. 4 cities we own and operate the asset. 8 city there's a franchisee partner who does that using
Right.
our bikes and our technology. So we believe that in next 12 months, Yulu will be present in 20 cities. Some of the cities will be additional where we are running the show, and some other cities where there's a franchisee partner. So 20 cities is what at least we are gunning for over next 12 months.
Okay, lovely. Let's spend a few minutes talking about Yulu Express. It's sort of like like for a lack of a better word, like a departure from your earlier model of low cost, quicker, smaller vehicles. So, I mean, what is the idea behind that? Is it like a new diversification strategy? Is it again, it'll help you get into newer segments? So, how will that pan out in your opinion?
Yeah. So first of all, it is not a departure, it is not a pivot. I would actually say that it is an extension. So from our perspective, we were taking baby steps. We thought that we had to build this infrastructure product layer, and we were laser focused in solving some use cases. But as I mentioned, that use cases are several. So this new form factor is helping us to extend the use cases what we have been able to offer to our customer. And because this is sitting on the same technology and ops layer, for us
Right.
doing it is actually far easier. And if your question is, do we see more form factors in future? Absolutely, answer is yes, because we will see on the road from first principle that this movement is happening. How do we unify it?
Hmm.
There may be sometime an infrastructure play, sometime a new form factor play, sometime a new business model play. We will not shy away.
Right.
So Express actually plays that role, and it is an extension to what we are doing with the same playbook. So there's no change in go-to-market strategy and all.
Okay, same model, it'll
Yeah,
continue to be asset light, or you're getting
no, no,
into,
it will become asset light when we turn pat positive, but for the time being, there's a lot of asset heavy lifting.
right. But then any manufacturing play going forward, because again, you're getting into a segment where Bajaj also operates.
Yeah,
They're trying to build that from a commercial point of view. So how will that play out? Any conflict in that sense?
not at all. In fact, from a value chain perspective, it's very clear. We are not into manufacturing. We are not an OEM. We are not a vehicle company. So we will always source from OEMs. We will not make the vehicle. We will make them smarter by giving our technology to make it smarter. That part will happen. But we will not make the chassis and the engine and the powertrain. That is not our work. So we continue to operate, coexist. And Bajaj is also not doing and does not want to do what Yulu wants to do. They are very happy making a great product. We are very happy making that product into a service.
Service.
Same way, if I give you another global narrative, for example, Uber never made their own. They never made their own car.
Yeah.
Neither Toyota became an Uber. So it's a very good value chain where people know their responsibility and their play. They're very good with that.
Yeah.
So we are not getting into manufacturing. We have no plans. We have an amazing partner with the skin in the game in value creation and value extraction both. So yeah, no change
Right.
in the plan strategy as
And
well.
sure. And quick commerce is around 15% of your revenues at this point, if I'm not
No, no,
mistaken.
no. It is actually more than 50%, 50. The 15% figure, what you're saying, that this is all the deliveries on quick commerce happening in these cities.
Okay.
15% of it are happening on Yulu. So that
Right.
is the penetration part,
Okay.
not our
Okay.
revenue. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But then is there an over dependence on quick commerce? Because like you said, obviously Yulu Express will help you diversify and maybe get into intercity travel as well. So is there an over dependence at this point on quick commerce service?
So Answer is yes. We have almost half of our revenue comes from quick commerce, and then remaining is coming from food deliveries, quick services, which is a new segment for us emerging very well.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we need to worry? So let's look at things underneath. So first of all, is this one trick pony? Is there only one company who is driving quick commerce? Answer is no. So from a new just startup called Zepto to publicly listed company Blinkit and Swiggy
Yeah.
to a very large conglomerate in the form of Amazons and Tatas and all Flipkart, we see the need of people asking for a product and service quickly is here to stay. So unless you question that people don't want their things to be done in half an hour, 15 minutes, if that changes, then yes, you can say that yeah, we are talking
Yeah.
some thin air. But if the customer habit is not changing, the actors and platforms may change. But the gig worker will remain because everyone wants to deploy the gig worker, they don't want to hire. And as long as the gig worker is there, as long as the hyper local movement is happening, you will have something or the other. And we
Right.
have proven that, when we had before COVID, our bikes were used for, zone to zone movement.
Yeah.
COVID happened with few changes in the bike infrastructure. We were able to convert this to a movement of people, from movement of people to movement of goods. So we have very high versatile, opportunity or product which
Correct.
we can configure. Like quick service also happened. In no time, we became the largest supplier to this ecosystem. So people who are doing dishes and cutting vegetables to doing spa, salon, they just keep on lightening all of these use cases.
Yeah, yeah. Just leave us with a few key future growth areas where you might or might not be present today, but these are few future growth drivers, so to say, white spaces that you have identified and could become a potential business going forward. What are some of these white spaces?
So, so when company started Prerna, we have two mission statement. One was reduce traffic, second one was reduce the air pollution, and COVID added the improve livelihood as a mission. We started off this miracle business where people can go from zone to zone, solving for the first mile, last mile. Because of COVID, it took a back seat. So we believe that we have an unfinished agenda as a company and our own wish and aspiration that once we basically get to Pat Post state where we are standing on our feet very strongly, we start picking that battle also and
Personal
truly
mobility.
transform. You can say we call it people mobility.
Yeah.
And people mobility part we truly want to solve. People still struggle to get to metro, still struggle to get to short distances. The cabs are not available or they're very expensive. We want to solve that friction. We want to make the movement of person also frictionless. The way we have doubled down today, when you click an order on one of the quick commerce company, the thing will come in 7 minutes
Yeah.
thanks to Yulu or whatever is happening in the background, there's a reliability. But today you don't have the same comfort that when you have to go from your home to nearest cafe. It's still, oh my God. So we want to take away that friction.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do we solve that? They're thinking, as I said, but we will pick that battle after a few quarters.
It's a big urban mobility problem, so to say.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we, at least I want to solve.
Yeah, very happy to
Making
hear
sure
that.
making sure that our core business of this, which brings me 95% plus revenue, that is secured and growing like crazy. And then we also pick up this battle and solve on the back of the infrastructure and product excellence. So
Right.
yeah, hopefully we'll do something good about it as well.
Lovely. Happy to hear that.
No, no, I can imagine. We are all like very excited about that as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And as always, we're looking forward to your journey and new products and services from Yulu.
Thank you, Prerna. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
talking
much,
to
friend.
us.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Bye bye.